This is an RNZ podcast.
Bonjour, mes amis, bienvenue. Welcome to RNZ's Paris Essentials podcast. Je m'appelle Ben Strang. Throughout the Paris Olympics, I'll be bringing you all the latest news and interviews coming from France or perhaps Tahiti for the surfing. We'll have an episode up every day at 11 a.m, looking back at the night before, covering off all of New Zealand's medal wins, keeping tabs on the big international storylines, and of course throwing forward to the events of the coming day. Now, RNZ has a crack team in Paris for the Olympics. We have our sports reporters Felicity Reid and Barry Guy in the French capital, as well as RNZ's sports correspondent Dana Johansson. We'll also have Nathan Rarere presenting live from Paris for First Up and Morning Report. They're all very excited for the games to get underway. Felicity, Barry and Dana are with me now. Hello everyone.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. I didn't know you were multilingual, Ben.
Yes. I've been practicing French for some time. Just all in preparation for this. Have you all been practicing your French?
Oui.
We've assigned the role of ordering food to Barry.
I only know how to order beer, but I can work on the other ones. And I don't know about crack team, maybe the other two are, but I'm starting to show cracks, Ben.
Yeah, well, how
I'm
many
getting a
Olympic
bit
Games
old.
is this for you, Barry?
Oh, it's been a few. Atlanta was my first one. I've missed a couple, but when I found out it was going to be in Paris again, I wasn't at the last time it was in Paris. I thought, yes, I'd put my hand up for that. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
Excellent.
French
Have
is great.
Dana, Felicity, have you been to the Olympics before?
I have not. I'm a long-time watcher of the Olympic Games. This will be my first time attending and reporting on an Olympic Game, so I'm very excited, and I can't wait for Barry to regale us with tales of what it was like reporting on the 1924 Olympics, the last time it was in Paris.
Also my first time at an Olympics as well.
It is the greatest event, though. It's you won World Cups and that sort of thing, but the Olympics is the greatest event as far as I'm concerned. And to see the best competing, but also the minnows competing as well, is just fantastic. And so to see perhaps
Were
some
you there for
Pacific
Eric
Island.
the eel?
No, no,
Talking of minnows?
no. But yeah, to see some Pacific Island nations competing as well is just going to be fantastic, Ben.
Well, if we crack off with what you are most looking forward to, maybe we'll start with you, Dana. What event from the Olympic Games do you think you're most looking forward to seeing?
I think definitely from a Kiwi perspective, the big showdown between Dame Lisa Carrington and Amy Fisher in the K1 500 of the canoe racing is going to be pretty spectacular. It's really an event that's been 3 years in the making when you think back to late 2020, and Fisher famously withdrew from selection contention for the Tokyo Games due to concerns that she had about the safety of the canoe racing New Zealand high performance environment. After the Games, Fisher actually went on to the World Championships in Denmark as Dame Lisa was taking a well-earned break following her exploits in Tokyo. And Fisher actually won the World Championships that year, beating the Olympic silver and bronze medalists. So that kind of hinted at what could have been possible in Tokyo, and is now the stage is set to potentially a New Zealand 1-2 finish in Paris would be pretty spectacular.
Yeah, these last few months have been very exciting watching the two of them go at it. So absolutely, that'll be a fun watch. I think that's going to be right in the middle of the night, New Zealand time. It might be sort of a midnight-ish start for us watching. So it's going to be, some of the events are going to be tough to watch. That might be one of them for some people, but some of them are a great time for New Zealand, very early morning. Felicity, what about yourself?
Well, that rarity of a 1-2 potential finish for a New Zealand side is pretty exciting. But I'm also looking at the pool. So they 400 metres freestyle. Erica Fairweather amongst that golden generation of swimmers. So that's Australia's Ariane Titmus, Canada's teenage sensation Summer McIntosh, also American Katie Ledecky. So it's these women that are sort of, Erica Fairweather's putting down some pretty impressive times, but she could miss out on a medal amongst some of these women that are really doing something really great for their sport. I mean, it's everything from the sort of the TikTok Summer McIntosh right the way through to Katie Ledecky, who's at her 4th Olympics, a 7-time Olympic champion. It's that sort of broad range of everything that you can get from an event like that as well.
You've just made me think this is going to be the TikTok games, isn't it? All the athletes are going to be doing their little dances in the village, and oh no.
What?
You don't know what TikTok is?
This is probably the first games where most or a good percentage of the New Zealand team will have been born in the 2000s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, Barry.
Makes you feel old.
Barry, how do you feel about that, and what are you looking forward to?
What's TikTok? I agree. Carrington Fisher was my sort of pick for the showdown, perhaps, as far as New Zealand's concerned, as Felicity touched on there. I believe that both of them will get a medal in that single, and that would be the 4th time that New Zealanders have been on the same podium individually for an event. That's Snell Davies, Tate and Clark, the equestrian, and then Carter and Doherty in the triathlon. So it's just going to happen for the 4th time. I'm going to then say Elise Andrews, track cycling, a young woman who is just, world champion, doing particularly well. And the velodrome, I've had people ask me, if you're going to go somewhere to see something exceptional, what would it be? And the velodrome is an outstanding...
It's a really good shout.
It is. There's noise, you're really close, and the New Zealand uniform, that the one piece that they have and the black helmet and everything, is probably not is the sexiest uniform that there is. It's the coolest.
It's sleek, isn't it?
You know, when you get a pursuit team going around all in black, it just looks fantastic. So
black blur going around the track, aren't they? I used to cover the track cycling when I was at the Waikato Times. The velodrome had just been built in Cambridge, and I got the cycling round, and I loved going to the velodrome for the national champs, the regional champs. They hosted a couple of World Cup events, and you're right, it is just such a fun event to cover and to watch.
Especially
the speed is incredible.
And when someone from the home nation is doing well, it's just the noise is just exceptional. So the track cycling is going to be good too, and I think a couple of New Zealand cyclists will do well. So
later in the games, we might try to explain to people how the Madison works and how the points race works. There's some confusing events on the track, that's for sure. Let's go to some of the big storylines that we might see during the Olympics. This could be New Zealand storylines, it could be international ones. We'll start with you, Felicity. What do you think are some of the big storylines to watch over in Paris?
Surely it's the water quality of the River Seine. Are we going to have a triathlon? Is it going to turn into a duathlon? Are they even going to have marathon swimming? What happens there? I mean, we get to see it first in the opening ceremony with everybody in a boat going down there, boats without bathrooms. There are some questions about what those athletes and officials might be doing during that very long ceremony and whether that's actually going to help that water quality or not. They sort of missed that first test event over there as well with the E. coli rating in the water. So it's probably going to be one of those conversations that continues throughout the Games as well. As we walk past it, we smell it, we see it.
You'll really be enjoying that. Did I hear, so is weather dependent sort of how the river might be? I heard that if there's heavy rain, that it gets a lot worse because everything washes into the Seine.
Yes.
Whereas if it's beautiful weather, we might be okay.
So as much money as they want to spend trying to fix it up, they can't control the weather. So yes, if there is some heavy rain, that's basically what they're doing, their opposite of the rain dance, the sun dance perhaps, to make sure that they're not getting some of this gross stuff ending up in the water and I guess really affecting athletes as well.
Speaking of sun dance, the other day in the office here, we came up with a plan, a colleague of mine, Hamish, we were going to wear Hawaiian shirts last Friday. And Barry was keen to get involved, and then I felt terrible because I couldn't find my Hawaiian shirt. And I get here at 5 a.m. when we start, and Barry's wearing this beautiful red Hawaiian shirt, and I felt terrible that I didn't have mine. So I just want you to know that if you do come up with plans, Barry will deliver. Don't stitch him up.
Oh, I thought I have to take that shirt, do I? Maybe I'll take that shirt.
Maybe you should. It will be hot over there. Barry, what do you think the storylines will be over there?
Well, I'm hoping that either in the boxing ring, the judo mat, or in the wrestling, a Ukrainian comes up against a Russian. And just what sort of support and what they're going to weigh. I don't know how many Russian athletes they're going to go as neutrals or whatever it's called, but... a Ukrainian-Russian showdown somehow. That would be quite good. And also, I'm looking forward to seeing Sha'Carri Richardson, the 100-metre runner, competing, because I was talking to my daughters, who aren't great sports followers, good on them, and they go, oh, that's the woman that wasn't allowed to go last time because of a marijuana test. And they said how a bit unfair it was. And so she qualified for the 100 metres for the US team and is going to go there. And I would quite like to see her do particularly well and perhaps even win. And
that's if Zoe Hobbs isn't the one who's winning,
that's
of
right.
course.
Okay, well, maybe silver to Zoe Hobbs in the 100 metres. That would be quite good. The 100 metres, I've been lucky enough. I fluked it a couple of times to see the 100 metres. I was in Atlanta. I was just about to leave after watching New Zealand compete, and I went, why are all those people lining up down the end of the front straight? And it was the men's 100 metres when Linford Christie got disqualified. So the 100 metres, one of the biggest events at the track. And, Sha'Carri Richardson, I'd like to see her race and do well.
Excellent. And Dana, what storylines are you going to be following?
I think this Chinese doping scandal that's been bubbling away for the last couple of months is possibly going to erupt again in Paris. If you recall the story, there were 23 Chinese swimmers tested positive for a prohibited substance in the lead up to the Tokyo Olympics. We only learnt this a few months ago when the New York Times did a big investigation. It was swept under the carpet by WADA. They've just done a big investigation on themselves and decided that, no, they've done a good job with this investigation. There was no bias or wrongdoing in its handling of the case. I'm not sure if some of the swimmers will agree with that, and I think there could possibly be protests in the pool or potentially around the medal celebrations as well.
Surely a bit of side-eye to some of those swimmers if they've got a Chinese person in their race as well, right?
Absolutely. There were a couple that did win medals in Tokyo and again favoured to do well in Paris. So if that happens, you can imagine there'll be a few swimmers that will have a few things to say about it.
There's nothing like a wee self-investigation, pat on the back. We've done a great job here. No questions to be asked.
And the French crowd, perhaps, too. When the swimmers get introduced, there might be a little bit of, not as much cheering, perhaps, in some way.
Oh, the French are known for that, aren't they? They're
protests. Yeah.
Boisterous.
I agree.
Fantastic. Well, let's. I want some bold predictions, some hot takes now from you, which possibly isn't the RNZ way. We're not supposed to do that sort of thing. But hey, it's sport. It's the Olympics. Barry, let's start with you. What's your biggest hot take? What's your biggest prediction for the Olympic Games?
I don't think we're going to win as many medals as we have in the last couple of games. It's just looking across the team selections. We have a lot of New Zealanders that will make finals, and that's primarily perhaps how selection works, is to make a final. So I think we'll have a lot of those. But pushing for a medal is going to be particularly tough. And I think in athletics, we have contenders for medals, but winning a gold medal is, it's almost going to have to be a surprise in some way. So in Tokyo, there were a total of 20 medals and 7 gold. Rio 18 and 4, London 13 and 6. I just don't think we can reach the heights in Tokyo. So that's where I say we possibly have to be realistic about New Zealand's expectations there. But there are a couple. I think Elise Andrews has a good chance of winning a gold medal. Carrington or Fisher, good chance of a medal. But there will always be a few surprises that come up that you didn't expect. One is perhaps George Beamish, who just, he seems to be, this may not be his games, it could be his next games, but it seems to be that little bit different, and he could surprise, although, again, I think perhaps coming up against some of the Africans or the North Africans, it may be a bit difficult in the 3,000 metre steeplechase. But there will be a few surprises, but I think it's going to be tough. New Zealand, I don't think, is going to win as many rowing gold or medals as they did last time, so we may have to be a bit realistic about our success there. Well, our medal success there.
Yeah, and I was talking to Stephen Houston about this a while ago, and that That would be a shame if we don't win as many medals, but at the same time, there are certain things where, say Zoe Hobbs does make the 100 metres final, just making that final, I feel like that would be the biggest sporting event in New Zealand for the whole year. If Zoe Hobbs is in a 100 metre final, doesn't matter where she finishes, right? So there might not be the medal success, but there's certainly going to be some massive events out there to watch, which is very exciting. What about yourself, Dana? What would be your biggest hot take for the games?
Oh, I feel like my hot take is quite conservative, actually, but maybe that is the RNZ way. I think when we look at the kind of medal breakdown, as we tend to do, traditionally it's been canoe sprint and rowing and athletics where we've got the most medals. But I think this year cycling will be the most medalled New Zealand sport at the Games. If you look at some of those names, Aaron Gate and the Omnium, I think he's ranked number 2 in the Madison going into it, and also he's part of that men's pursuit team that's looking really strong. Of course, Elise Andrews, reigning world champion in the Keirin, and part of that women's sprint team as well. And even the women's pursuiters are also looking strong with the likes of Ali Wollaston. So I think they could do really well. And I think if any sport deserves it, you look at the number of interventions that have taken place within that sport over the last 3 years, off the back of that tragic event with Olivia Podmore and the suspected suicide, which was remembering the day after the closing ceremony of Tokyo, so day one of this Paris Olympic cycle, and cycling is hit with that tragic event. So I think if any sport deserves success in Paris, it would be cycling.
Yeah, absolutely. And Felicity, how about yourself? What are you predicting?
Well, I reckon with World Athletics paying gold medalists for the first time, so that's $50,000 US to win a medal, we're not going to see what we saw in Tokyo with the high jump, with that shared gold medal between the Italian man and the Qatari athlete. 2 athletes that were battling it out in the heat of competition were prepared to share a medal. But when there's a bit more money on the line, perhaps you're not as prepared to do that. Sportsmanship changes a little bit when there's quite a lot of money. And it may also change the Olympics and the sports going forward as well, because if we look at, say, the next Olympics, they're looking to bring in money for silver and bronze medalists. Something, and other sports have obviously kicked up a little bit about this as well. What does it mean for them? The Olympics were originally an amateur sporting occasion. So now, as we're sort of seeing some of these athletes who are higher profile, who do pick up the good sponsorship dollars, athletes from some countries do get money from their government for winning their medals, but not necessarily every country. You see some of those smaller nations where perhaps they will be successful in an athletics event. Will they crumble under that pressure as well?
Ben's a big fan of Deal or No Deal. And, so what's that where they go no deal with the crossed hands, but when they want the money, they do that?
I think they're just
they're
firing off
flicking the
dollar
notes
bills
around.
or something.
Is that what we're going to see on TikTok after an athlete wins a gold medal?
Quite possibly. I hate the idea of this. Like paying the athletes for their gold medal wins. Sure, in other events, but it's the Olympics. It's founded in being an amateur event, and I just hate the idea of this.
Well, it's not as if they're trying to attract the best there, because the best are not avoiding the Olympics for something else, are they? So
exactly. It's not like the Com Games where people are like, "Yeah, nah, thanks, I'm going to the World Champs."
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone wants to be the Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
I hate this idea. Anyway, I'll leave my anger at
I feel like the athletes might like the idea.
Yeah, I imagine they would. I would. Okay, let's go on to, very quickly, which Olympic athlete do you think you'd be starstruck if you got to meet and interview while you were over there? We'll start with you, Dana.
I know what Dana's is going to be.
Oh, no question, Simone Biles. I've always loved watching the gymnastics competition during the Olympics. I just remember as a kid being absolutely captivated by it, and in particular the US women have kind of led the way since the Atlanta Games. And, Simone has the rhinestone goat on her leotard for a reason. She is the greatest of all time and such a compelling character as well, particularly after what she went through in Tokyo. Obviously having to withdraw, she suffered what they call the twisties, and had a bit of a mental health break after that. 2 years out of the sport. She's come back, not missed a beat. She won the US national all-round title by about 5 points, which is, unheard of. She's incredible. I can't wait to see her. And I'm sure she would love to meet me as well.
I'm sure she would.
My wife's been watching a bunch of YouTube videos of Simone Biles. Barry, what would
Dana, has she scored a 10? I'm assuming she has.
Well, they've changed the scoring system now, so it's not possible.
I was going to say, because I met a 10 in Atlanta, Bo Derek.
Oh.
It's probably too early for you, Ben.
Not fi-
I think I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the pop culture reference.
She was an actress anyway. Rafael Nadal, probably. I probably don't need to see LeBron James or anything like that, but Rafa Nadal coming near the end of his career, I'd probably get a selfie with him if I could. So,
Doing the doubles with Carlos Alcaraz as well.
Yeah,
That's very
exactly.
exciting. How about yourself, Felicity?
Well, I'm going to be taking Barry's interview with LeBron James because any member of the US men's basketball team is somebody I want to interview. Steph Curry is also going to his first Olympics like I am, so maybe we could have a shared discussion around that as well.
Steph Curry's a good shout. A good old Golden State Warriors fan here. I think, Barry, you're a Golden State Warriors fan, aren't you? Lakers. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that then, Barry. Well, thank you so much for joining me. That was Felicity Reid, Barry Guy, and Dana Johansson. They are our team in Paris, bringing you as many interviews as they can do and all the breaking news as we hopefully take home a few medals. That is it for today's episode of Paris Essentials. We'll have a new podcast episode every day during the Paris Games, dropping at 11 a.m. wherever you get your podcasts. So, à demain, au revoir, merci de votre attention. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to having your company again tomorrow.